My name is Ajaxpost. You probably already know that so, as you're on my channel. And welcome to the July update. Yes, I know it is actually August. I did warn you, if you watched the last one, that July was kind of a busy month for me. So yeah, so it's a little bit delayed. And hopefully I'll get one done at the end of August and that won't run in. I hope it doesn't become a kind of bi-monthly kind of thing. Is that the right word? I'm never quite sure whether bi-monthly means every 2 months or a month. But yeah. Anyway, enough waffling. I think you don't come here for that, or maybe you do. Maybe that's a particular charm of this channel. There's just an awful lot of waffling going on, but no. Anyway, slightly different tack I think this month. Less about the games and more about other stuff. I don't know if any of you are also YouTube creators. You may have noticed over the last month, I think really, there's been a sudden ramp up in weird comments appearing on videos. Things which don't actually say anything useful about the video or relate to anything at all that's in your video, but just simply say things like, "Awesome bro," you know, "I wish you best of luck with your channel, why not check out ... or "Wow, great stuff bro," or "dude," or whatever the appropriate term is. Why not, if you want more music for your channel, why not come and check out my YouTube channel? And the first thing about these videos, these comments, is they don't actually say anything about your video. They're just generic. That's the first clue. And the second clue is that when you go to these links, should you dare to go to these links, which are often to another YouTube channel, or to what is very common at the moment is an Instagram account for some reason, is they're promoting what they call non-copyright sounds, excuse me, or non-copyrighted music, on the assumption that you can then use their music, which they're offering to you for free, without any copyright restrictions whatsoever, to use in your videos. And of course it's not actually free. The thing is, these are scams. They are going to get you to ramp up their YouTube subscriber account, so they become obviously more popular, and YouTube likes popular accounts. And should you use any of their music and often there's only one track or perhaps two, very few tracks are actually available on these channels. And if you use one of those pieces of music in your YouTube video, you may find a little bit further down the line you get a copyright strike, a content ID strike from YouTube, because in fact these videos are not apparently copyright free. So what they're going to do is they'll give you a copyright strike, which means that if you are monetizing your videos, I'm not, so it shouldn't really affect me, they will actually claim all the revenue that you might have got from that video for their own purposes. So basically it's a money-making scam. Now, if for me, I had one copyright strike, in fact I had 2 or 3 on one particular series of videos, This War of Mine, where the music in the game was apparently owned by somebody and they wanted, revenue for it. And what that meant is when YouTube spotted that, or someone spotted it, some weird algorithm spotted it, YouTube then said to me, well, you can continue to play your video. If it's monetized, these people will take the revenue from any adverts that appear on your video, or we will simply mute your video so there's no sound at all, so you're not breaching the copyright. Which of course, on the way I record my videos, where I record the game and the commentary at the same time, meant that you lost everything, not just the music but my commentary as well. So that was a very unpleasant experience. So they're a nasty thing. And the other thing about the Instagram account ones, they appear to be a series of really very nicely photographed images of all sorts of cars and clothes and food and scenery and so on. All very nice and just kind of generic photographs which you might want to use as a background or some such. But again, they don't actually belong to the people who own the Instagram account. They are typically stolen from someone else, brands such as Nike, or other well-known photographers and companies. So again, the likelihood is that you will get stung with a copyright claim for when you use those videos, when you use those images. So I will put up somewhere on here on the screen, I hope, a list of the accounts which appear to be doing this. They change their names fairly frequently because there's a lot of people now watching out for these accounts, and they appear to be getting stopped a little bit more by YouTube. So I'll put the list up anyway, see if it helps you. So if you see any comments from any of these accounts and they are just totally generic, they are spam bots, I think is the term they use. They're just generated by a computer, by an automated program which goes around and finds newly uploaded videos and just adds this comment to them in the hope that you will then succumb to their scam. So basically don't. So it's quite easy. You may find some of these comments are actually automatically put into your spam or for review folder by YouTube, in which case just delete them, or better still, report and block them. That way YouTube hopefully will take notice of the fact that these accounts are being blocked and reported by a lot of people, and will spot the fact that these actual comments are against the terms and conditions of service of YouTube, and should terminate those accounts fairly swiftly, which, to be honest, they don't actually appear to be doing at the moment. So that was the first thing I noticed. I noticed these things coming up and I thought these are weird comments, so I did a bit of research and found a couple of other accounts which were reporting on these and watching on them, and hence I've got some of the backstory to what these unpleasant characters are doing. And of course they're not actually real people. They're just computerised accounts just sending out this stuff on behalf of some unpleasant character trying to skim money off innocent people. So the other thing I noticed when I was doing some research into these is, and this did take me a bit by surprise, is the number of incredibly young YouTubers. Because a lot of the people that get these, I don't quite know how they target these spam bot comments. Some of them are well-known and recognised YouTubers, so obviously filtering them out. Some of them are reasonably busy but not very well subscribed YouTubers, such as myself, for example. I've got a very nice subscriber base. Thank you all very much for being part of this channel. But no, it's not a huge number by any stretch, and I'm a reasonably infrequent contributor and uploader. So I get them, as do other much more popular channels, and also some channels which only have a couple of videos or a few subscribers up, created by very young people. And by young people, I mean children, sort of pre-teen. And I thought, wow. I mean, I'm a lot older than YouTube, to be fair. You might be able to tell that. But the fact that people that young are actually uploading and creating videos struck me as kind of odd and kind of weird. I thought, wow, this is a whole new generation. I'm really not quite sure what to think of it yet, but there you are. Anyway, that's kind of me ranting, so let's get off that. So what else have I been doing this last month? The other thing I do in these updates, I almost forgot what the heck I'm doing here, it's just a quick recap of some of the theatre I've seen. As you may recall, I think I mentioned at the end of the last video, I was going to see a production of Julius Caesar at the Old Vic in Bristol, which is one of there's a kind of thing they've started doing recently, in recent years, is having a couple of old alumni come along as the star of a particular production, and the rest of the cast, the bulk of the cast and the creative crew, are actually graduating students or final year students at their theatre school. And this year it was Julius Caesar, and I've kind of forgotten the name of the star. I think it was John Glover or Roger Glover. I will definitely put a proper name check for this guy, either on screen or in the description below, so you can see. He's an old alumni. He was in Game of Thrones, possibly still is. I'm not up to date on Game of Thrones. Shame on me, shame on me. So he's a character in that. So he's a well-known film and stage and TV actor. And really quite impressive it was. It was kind of a modern interpretation. They actually used the language of Shakespeare, but it was set in a kind of modern day Italy, a modern day Rome, where Julius Caesar was the returning hero of the wars and was about to take power, and there was an underlying revolution by more sort of, well, kind of more democratic people, people who thought, we don't need an emperor again, we need the republic, we need institutions to rule us rather than individuals with total authority and dictatorships, basically. And I mean, it's an old story, and I've seen it before, and I'm sure I read it at school many, many years ago. But I hadn't quite remembered how brutal some of it was, how political it was, and the sort of backstabbing that went on between the conspirators, and that really did take me by surprise. Overall, a very nice, very good production. You probably won't see it. It's not going to be touring anywhere. It's a one-off at the Old Vic, kind of their end-of-year thing for their students. And that was followed a few days later by a totally different production, an amateur production in Bath of Birdsong, which I think is a well-known book, film, I think, and has certainly been staged many times before by professional companies. And in fact, I'd seen it a couple of years ago, again at the Old Vic, by a professional company. And this is a story of First World War sappers, the mine layers in the trenches, who would go dig tunnels under the trenches right up to underneath the German trenches at the time, and then set off these explosives, and then obviously destroying the German trenches, the German tunnels, and killing Germans, basically, which that's what the war was about. So it was part of their story, and it was mixed in with a romance between one of the officers of this company with a French family. It's kind of an odd story, and I'm not entirely sure it works, to be honest. You don't really engage the two stories terribly well. In either production I've seen, there's a dichotomy there. It doesn't really sort of meld terribly well. But again, the wonderful thing about seeing it as a small amateur production in an intimate space, a very small space, the Mission Theatre in Bath, is you're actually right there. You're practically touching the actors. You are that close to them. And it's that immediacy, I think, which really gives, and I've said this before in a previous update blog, that it's that immediacy you get, that contact with the actors, which makes you sort of get a better sense of their story. So again, they're not professionals. Some of the acting and the accents and the rest of it were a bit off, and they didn't have all the high production values you'd get in a big professional stage production. But you really do, I think, get a much closer sense, keener sense of what the story's about. Certainly the trench warfare bit of it. It was very simply staged, obviously, being a small production, but it actually worked. So that was quite fun. Actually, fun's probably the right word, 'cause it's actually quite a tragic story at the end of it. People dying and all sorts of tragedy going on, and love's being doomed. Love is often doomed, isn't it, on drama, on film and on stage. Love seldom is either requited or in fact reaches a happy conclusion. But no, let's not dwell on that. Okay, the next thing I saw just a couple of weeks ago was, again, it's kind of a film into theatre. It was North by Northwest. It's a quite impressive production. It's come from Australia. It's appearing for a couple of weeks here in Bath, and then it's off touring the world. I think it's going to Canada next. So this was the only chance in the UK to see it. And if you know about North by Northwest, I only vaguely remember the film. There's a couple of very impressive cinematic moments in it. There's the hero being chased through a field of wheat, crops, whatever, and being sort of chased by a crop duster aeroplane throughout that, and it all comes very close to him, and it's all very dramatic, and it's impressive. And there's a big crash and flames and smoke and the rest of it. And there's another scene at the end of it, sort of the conclusion of the drama, where he and the girl have to climb across Mount Rushmore. Yes, the famous president's heads of Mount Rushmore in America. Obviously it's in America. All these things are in America. So you would think that's actually quite difficult to stage. But they've done it so brilliantly well. They're using sort of back projection of miniature models, and the thing is, you can actually see them doing the projection work. They're actually in two separate booths on the side of the stage. So you can actually filming the miniature work, which is then being projected onto the black screen at the back of stage. So you can get the crop duster, you can get Mount Rushmore, and the way they do that is so sparky and so witty and such fun. which is one of the great things about it. It really brought out the fun of the story. Although it's a story of a guy being mistaken for a murderer and being chased by the Russian agents and the CIA and police forces, high drama chase of mistaken identity and death and murder and stuff. But it was actually quite sparky and witty, actually because of the way they translated the film effects onto the stage in the theatre and not hiding the fact that they were doing that. So you could sort of see the workings of it, which really actually works. It really was quite an impressive performance. Again, it was a great production, and you're impressed by the verve, the skill of it. Not so much getting in touch with the characters, perhaps, because they're just telling a story. You don't sort of engage so much with the characters themselves, which is something, as you may know if you've watched these blogs before. I should call them vlogs, shouldn't I, because they're video logs. Yeah, whatever. I really like getting in touch with personal stories when I go to the theatre, and that's what North by Northwest doesn't really have. But other than that, it really is quite a fun, entertaining theatrical experience. So yeah, well done, the guy. And the great thing was they actually had the score of the film pretty much. As far as I could tell, the soundtrack was very much in tune with the sense of the film. So it really did kind of work. It really did evoke that whole Hitchcock genre, that the whole sort of spy drama of those days. So very nicely done indeed, guys. And the final thing I saw in July, last month I'm afraid, was Wink, which is I think it was the first drama written by this writer. It has been produced before. It was in London. I think it's been elsewhere. Very briefly, so it had a couple of productions before. And it was a debut production of this brand new company of actors, Top Button Theatre, I think they call themselves. And it's the story of two young men, a young teacher in his early 20s and a schoolboy in his mid-teens, 15, 16, that sort of age, in the modern age, and how the internet and social networking and the whole fact that you're online all the time affects young men and their relationships with their families and with their girlfriends, boyfriend, whatever, and so on. And it was really, really impressive. It wasn't told in the sort of traditional, sort of typical stage theatre way of characters talking to each other and engaging with each other. There was some of that, but mostly it was each of the two characters telling their story, so explaining what they were thinking, what they were doing, and like a monologue really, but two of them on stage at the same time, which I really like. I may have said this before in the last video particularly. I really quite like one man shows, the monologue, where people are telling stories, because I love hearing stories, which is what the theatre is really great at in my mind. So it was great seeing this, but over and above that, the interest of the story itself, of male identity, as it were, in the internet age, was a physicality. It was really well choreographed. Again, it was in the Mission Theatre in Bath, so it's a very small, intimate, often used for amateur and small company productions. So it's very intimate. And it was so intimate that at some stages they had one of these sort of office chairs on wheels, which they would push one another around in, and they would just sort of push it off into the auditorium, and you would actually get the actor there touching your knee. You were that close to the characters. And they looked at you directly in the eyes, so they're telling you this story, which is very powerful, very intimate way of telling stories, which really, really worked. And the two actors, they're new actors. I've seen one of them before in another small production in Bath, but they were so good. They were so impressive at their characters and the storytelling, and the choreography was wonderful in such a small space. They're actually throwing each other around. It was sort of a balletic sense to it almost. It really was very impressive. So if you get a chance, if it comes up anywhere near you, a production is called Wink. This one was by the Top Button Theatre Company, so if you see either the play or anything by these people, I do recommend going to see it, because the play's great and these two guys, this company, were really, really impressive. So that was great. One of the great things about that as well is I had my best friend from London come down this last weekend. We saw Wink, And normally if I'm taking him for a theatre production, for going out for theatre, we'll go to somewhere like the Euston Off or the Theatre Royal, a main professional company theatre. The Euston Off is one of my favourites in Bath. It's a small studio theatre, and they do really, really good work. But the last year we've been there, they've put on really good shows, but they've not been terribly impressive. You haven't come away thinking, oh my goodness, that was awesome. I am emotionally drained from watching that. I'm on a high, I'm on a low, my mind is filling with thoughts. They've been good, but they haven't been awesome shows. And my friend has never been to the Mission before, and I'd said to him, I need to take you to somewhere new and different for a change, and I'm really enjoying the stuff they put on at this particular venue. So this was the first time I've taken him to the Mission, and you have that sort of sense, I hope it's good, I hope it's good, I hope he's not going to think, why have you brought me here, this is rubbish. But he was impressed by it as well. It was so good. In fact, there was a standing ovation, which I don't see very often at the theatre. But it really was such a powerful piece, so well presented. So that was good, good theatre. And I'm glad my friend wasn't disappointed that I'd taken him to somewhere rubbish to see something a bit iffy. So that was a good result. Anyway, where are we? We're going to come up to time. I don't want to make this too long. One thing I will say is July was Pride Month in the UK. I think it's Pride Month pretty much around all those countries which celebrate and have LGBT celebrations. I think America does it, and other parts of Europe. Certainly here in the UK was Pride Month, and our local Bristol Pride was also in July. I don't normally do Pride. I'm not a great fan of big crowds, bad beer, and kind of rubbish entertainment. I'm not a great fan of the cheesy stuff that tends to be put on at some of these events. Usually sort of boy bands and the like, who've passed their best but are now touring on the cheap kind of thing. But this year, several of my friends in Bristol were going, and they had a couple of bands on the stage who I actually know of, who were actually quite good. The headlining act was Busted. You may recall Busted. And the other one was Union J, who've come off a talent TV programme, X Factor here. They're very popular, they're very pretty, and the songs are really, they're quite passable pop songs, I suppose. Not that I know them too well, to be honest, but I went along to that, and it was very crowded. The beer was awful, obviously, at these things. You don't often get good beer at this kind of Pride event, unfortunately. It was very crowded. Some of the bands were a bit iffy, but on the main stage, there are actually some very entertaining and very, very capable performers. So that was fun. But the main thing was you're spending time with friends, and you're in a really sort of celebratory kind of situation where people are just feeling happy to be out, to be proud, to share that part of their lives, and to feel safe and welcome. Which was great, actually. So perhaps I should go to them more often and say, I don't care about the crowds, I'm here with friends, we're celebrating diversity and equality and the fact that we can all be here and enjoy ourselves. So maybe I will next time, next year as well. I took a few pictures. I might put them up. I know I've said that I have to, I suppose, don't I? Otherwise you'll think, so where are your pictures, Adrian? Why haven't you put them up? So I'll see if I can find any good ones of the crowd and the bands, and just give you a little slideshow of those as well. But anyway, that's it from me. I'm off to the Great British Beer Festival next weekend, so that should be fun. Don't have much theatre, I think, lined up for August. Hopefully something will turn up. But anyway, I expect to see you again in about a month's time, at the end of the month. So for now, thank you so much for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this rather bizarre wandering around topics and stuff today, leave us a like. Any thoughts on theatre or Pride or YouTube and spam bots and stuff, why not leave something in the comments box below? It'd be great to hear from you. Always, whatever you've got to say, always love hearing from you. As long as you're a real person, that is, of course, and not a bot. And if you've not done so already, why not subscribe to the channel? That way you'll know as soon as I upload something else here, either one of the Let's Plays or one of these little video blog things. So, from me, Ajaxposts, until the next time, bye-bye for now.